They said she was too small. Then a 10-year-old girl submitted a teen champion instantly. The gym falls dead silent the moment the teenage boy's back slams into the mat. Not a cheer, not a gasp, just the hollow thud of a body hitting canvas and the sharp involuntary exhale of air leaving lungs that never expected to leave them so fast. The boy's eyes are wide, staring at the ceiling lights like he's trying to figure out which planet he just landed on. His arm is still trapped, twisted upward in a lock that looks almost gentle in the small hands controlling it. The hands belong to a 10-year-old girl who weighs 58 pounds soaking wet. Her ponytail hasn't even moved. And in that frozen second, every adult in the building realizes they just watched something impossible happen in real time. Rewind 24 hours. The regional kids' Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament is being held in a converted warehouse outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. The air smells like sweat, bleach, and the faint metallic tang of fear. Mats are laid wall to wall, ringed by folding chairs and parents clutching phones like loaded weapons. In the warm-up area, the bigger kids roll with the easy arrogance of teenagers who have already tasted victory. Among them towers Mason, the maverick. Reed, 15 years old, 5'10", 145 pounds of freckles, red hair, and an undefeated record in the teen division for 2 straight years. Mason is the king here. His coach calls him the future. College recruiters already slide into his DMs. When he walks across the mats, younger kids step aside without being asked. In the far corner, almost invisible against the cinder block wall, stands Aria Santos, 10 years old. 4'6", 58 pounds, brown belt wrapped twice around a waist you could nearly circle with one adult hand. Her G-sleeves are rolled 3 times so her fingers can find the cuffs. She is stretching alone, knees to chest, humming something no one else can hear. A few parents glance over and smile the way people smile at lost puppies. Cute, they think. Brave of her to even show up. They don't know her father is Diego Santos, the quiet man leaning against the wall with arms folded so tight his tattoos look ready to burst. They don't know Diego was a Pan-American champion before a car accident shredded his knee and ended everything at 26. They don't know that every night for the last 6 years, after the other students left the family garage dojo in Sao Paulo, then later in a cramped apartment in Tulsa when they immigrated, Diego stayed on the mat with his daughter until the streetlights came on, drilling the same guard pass, the same armbar, the same triangle until her muscle memory was forged in fire. But today Diego is silent. He simply watches. The tournament director posts the brackets. Because of weight classes and age pooling, the absolute division for the final trophy is open. Anyone can enter, no weight limit, no age cap beyond under 18. It's a spectacle bracket, the one the crowd loves, the one that crowns the overall best kid of the day. Mason signs up immediately. 8 other teens follow. Then, in handwriting so neat it looks printed, Aria Santos adds her name to the bottom of the list. The room laughs. Not mean exactly. More like the chuckle you give a toddler who says she's going to drive the car someday. Mason's coach actually pats Aria on the head on his way past. Good for you, sweetheart. You'll get experience. Aria doesn't flinch. She just looks up at him with dark eyes that have already seen more mats than most adults ever will and says, very softly, "Thank you, sir." Round 1 is a blur. Mason dismantles his first opponent in 42 seconds with a brutal double leg into mount into armbar. The crowd roars. Phones rise like periscopes. The energy tilts toward him the way gravity tilts toward the sun. By the quarter-finals, he's laughing between matches, flexing for Snapchat, signing the occasional G-sleeve like he's already famous. Aria's bracket is the other side of the draw. She competes only twice before the final 4 because half the boys refuse to roll with little girl and forfeit on principle. The 2 who do step on the mat with her treat it like a joke until the moment they don't. The first lasts 19 seconds. The second taps so fast the referee barely has time to start the match. Neither boy cries, but both walk off staring at the floor like they've misplaced something vital. Semifinals, Aria versus a lanky 13-year-old who outweighs her by 60 pounds. He shoots a clumsy takedown, lifts her clean off the ground like she's made of paper. For one terrifying heartbeat, it looks like the story ends there. The crowd leans forward. Then Aria's legs snap into a body triangle mid-air. Her hips swing under and she lands in full mount before the boy even realizes he's horizontal. 31 seconds later, he's tapping to a rear naked choke, face scarlet with shame and lack of oxygen. The gym is no longer chuckling. Across the bracket, Mason watches the monitor. His smirk fades a millimeter. Finals. The head referee calls both competitors to the center mat. Mason bounces on his toes, cracking his neck, rolling shoulders that have never known defeat. Aria walks out barefoot, G-pants dragging slightly because they're still too long. She bows to the table, bows to her opponent, bows to the crowd. Mason gives her the quick nod you give someone you're about to steamroll. Diego stands at the edge of the mat, hands now unclenched. His eyes shine with something that might be tears, might be terror, there might be pride so fierce it hurts. The referee raises his hand. Combat! Mason explodes forward like the start of a sprint. Aria drops low, almost to her knees, collar tie inside, trip attempt denied. Mason powers through, wraps his long arms around her waist, lifts. For a moment she is airborne again, a child in the grasp of someone twice her size. The crowd holds its breath. This is where physics wins. This is where the story writes itself. But physics has never met Aria Santos. Mid-air, her right arm snakes under Mason's armpit. Her left hand clamps her own wrist. She drops her hips, swings her legs, and suddenly the world flips. Mason's feet leave the ground. He's the one airborne now, sailing over her tiny frame in a textbook Uchai matter that shouldn't be possible at her weight. The crash when he lands is seismic. The warehouse actually shakes. Before the echo dies, Aria is already behind him, legs hooked, arms snaking under his chin. Rear naked choke locked tight. Body triangle squeezing his torso like a python that learned Jiu-Jitsu. Mason's face blooms red. His hands claw at her forearms that feel like steel cables wrapped in silk. He bridges, bucks, rolls, trying everything his coaches drilled for years. Nothing works. The choke is in too deep, her hips too low, her legs too strong. 10 seconds feel like 10 years. His hand hovers, trembles, then slaps the mat 3 times so hard the sound cracks like a gunshot. The referee dives in, prying Aria's arms loose. Mason rolls to his knees, gasping, eyes wide, staring at the little girl standing calmly 3 feet away, waiting for the next command like this was just another Tuesday drill in the garage. Silence. Then the place erupts, not cheers, not yet. Something more primal. Phones are forgotten. Parents are on their feet without realizing they stood. A few grown men have tears streaming down their faces and don't bother hiding it. The referee raises Aria's hand. The trophy is almost as tall as she is. When they hand it to her, she has to hug it against her chest like a teddy bear. Mason walks over, still breathing hard, and without hesitation drops to one knee so they're eye level. He extends his hand. Aria takes it. Whatever he says is lost under the roaring crowd, but she smiles the smallest. Sweetest smile you've ever seen, and nods. Later, when the cameras swarm, a reporter shoves a mic toward her face and asks the question everyone wants answered. How? You're half his size. How did you do that? Aria thinks for a second, ponytail swaying. Then she looks straight into the lens and says, voice soft but clear as a bell, my dad always told me size is just a thought you haven't let go of yet. Diego stands behind her, finally letting the tears fall. The clip goes viral before they even leave the building. Within 48 hours, it's everywhere: ESPN, CNN, morning shows, jiu-jitsu forums, MMA subreddits. Comment sections overflow with the same stunned refrain. I've been training 10 years, and that kid just broke my entire understanding of leverage. Gyms across the country report a spike in little girls signing up for classes. The photo of Mason on one knee shaking Aria's hand becomes the new "Never Give Up" poster hanging in dojos from California to Rio. But the moment that lives forever, the one that gets slowed down frame by frame on YouTube, is the instant Mason's back hits the mat and Aria's face appears above him, calm, almost curious, like she's checking to make sure he's okay. There is no triumph in her eyes, no gloating. Just the quiet certainty of someone who was never fighting him in the first place. She was simply removing an obstacle between her and the next rep. So here's the truth they never put in the highlight reel: Aria didn't win because she was small. She won because 6 nights a week for 6 years, long after the world went to sleep, a father with a destroyed knee stayed on the mat with his daughter and taught her that the strongest thing in the world isn't the body that can lift the heaviest weight. It's the mind that refuses to believe it's small. What about you? Have you ever been told you were too young, too old, too broke, too broken, too anything to do what you dream of? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. If this moved you even a fraction as much as it moved me putting it together, smash that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and hit subscribe because every week we're bringing you more cinematic stories of real people who turned impossible into I'm possible. Until next time, keep rolling, keep fighting, and never, ever let anyone tell you how big your dreams are allowed to be. See you on the mat.